Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're digging into something many people find really helpful journaling.
Yeah, it's a fascinating practice. We've been looking at how just writing things down can be, well, quite powerful.
Powerful for processing emotions, dealing with stress, healing, and even for mapping out your career.
That's right. And what we found particularly interesting is how the type of journal you use can actually make a difference. We've been focusing on Listallion journals.
Mm-hmm. They seem specifically designed with this kind of thing in mind: therapy, well-being, even career stuff.
Exactly. They put thought into it.
So for our listeners, folks who like to get straight to the point, find those surprising insights, but without getting buried in information, this is for you.
Yeah, we want to cut through the noise.
Whether you're dealing with anxiety, grief, maybe figuring yourself out,
Yeah.
career changes, procrastination, self-doubt, all that stuff.
Journaling can offer a kind of structure, a real tool.
So our mission today, let's pull out the key takeaways on using journals for therapy, healing, and nailing those career goals.
And we'll definitely look at why certain features in these Listallion journals seem particularly helpful for that.
Okay, so let's start there. What makes these Listallion journals stand out for this?
Well, first off, they talk about premium faux leather journals. So right away, that suggests a certain quality, something that feels substantial.
Something you'd actually want to use regularly, right? Not just any old notebook.
Exactly. And they have options A5 size, both softcover and hardcover, and colors too.
Oh yeah, what kind of colors?
For the softcovers, there's ash gray black, cocoa brown, royal blue, juniper green, and the hardcovers, black, classic brown, proactive purple, visionary red, clarity blue, growthful green, passionate pink.
Wow, quite a range. It sounds like they get that a journal is a personal thing.
It definitely seems that way.
Yeah.
But beyond looks, the inside is where it gets really interesting for our topic.
Okay, tell me more.
They have 211 numbered pages, and the paper itself is thick, 120 GSM wood-free ivory paper.
120 GSM, that's pretty thick paper.
It is, and that's important. It means writing should be really smooth, but crucially, less ink bleed through.
Ah, right. That can be so annoying, especially if you're like really getting into writing something important or sensitive. You don't want ink messing up the other side.
Precisely. It minimizes distraction. And those numbered pages. That's a simple thing, but really useful for tracking things over time.
Yeah, I can see that. Looking back, seeing how things have changed. Didn't some have a table of contents too?
Yes, exactly. Some models have a built-in table of contents, which really elevates it, makes it more of an organized tool, not just a diary.
Okay, so let's connect this to the therapy and healing side. Why is a journal notebook for therapy and healing so valuable?
Well, fundamentally, it's about creating that safe, consistent space, a dedicated place.
Non-judgmental.
Totally non-judgmental, where you can process tricky emotions, get thoughts out of your head, which itself relieves stress. It's a path to self-healing through reflection.
Just calling it a therapy journal notebook almost gives it permission, doesn't it? Like this is its job.
It does. It signals its purpose. This isn't for your shopping list. It's for emotional expression, for self-reflection.
And the sources we looked at really emphasize this. They see a notebook for therapy and healing as like essential self-care.
Yeah, potentially transformative for mental wellness, for recovery,
How does the writing itself help?
by making the internal external. When you write feelings down, they become tangible, something you can look at more objectively.
Right, not just swirling around in your head.
Exactly. So writing in a therapy journal becomes this direct route to self-exploration, understanding, and eventually mental clarity.
It sounds a lot like self-guided therapy.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
You become your own observer, listening to your inner voice consistently.
Okay, so bring it back to the Listallion features. How do they help with this kind of journaling?
Well, those 211 numbered pages mean you have room for a long conversation with yourself. You can track emotional patterns, ups and downs, see progress.
You could even devise your own system, maybe note moods on certain page numbers or track triggers. Easy to flip back.
Absolutely. And that thick 120 GSM paper, it's not just about feeling nice. It's about focus.
Minimizing distractions again.
Right. When you're dealing with sensitive stuff, you don't want ink bleed pulling you out of the moment. It supports a calmer, smoother experience.
That makes sense. A smoother flow helps the thoughts flow too, maybe.
It really can. And, even the colors. Choosing a color you like might sound small, but it can make the journal feel more like your safe space, more inviting.
Okay, interesting. Now let's pivot slightly. What about using a journal notebook for career goals? Seems different, but maybe similar principles apply.
Very similar principles, actually. It's still about self-reflection, structure, tracking progress, just applied to your professional
This
life.
is a tool for development.
Definitely. It pushes you beyond just thinking about career goals. You actively reflect on strengths, values, what you really want. You set goals, track them, stay motivated.
It helps break down those big, maybe intimidating long-term ambitions.
Exactly. Into manageable steps. Writing them down gives them structure, makes you feel more accountable, turns abstract ideas into, well, a plan.
And documenting the journey itself.
That fosters a growth-oriented mindset. You start seeing setbacks not just as failures, but as learning opportunities. Reflect, adjust, move forward.
And there's that statistic, right? That writing goals down makes you more likely to achieve them.
Yes, significantly more likely. It makes them concrete, intentional.
So applying the Listallion features here, again, the 211 numbered pages give you plenty of room for plans, reflections on projects, noting achievements.
Right, and that built-in table of contents in some models, that's huge for career journaling.
How so?
Imagine easily finding your notes from that key meeting 6 months ago, or your reflections after that big presentation, or details about a networking contact.
Ah, so it becomes an indexed record, a resource you can actually use, not just a logbook.
Spot on, much more dynamic. And again, the quality paper ensures those important insights and plans are preserved, legible for the future.
And you mentioned the line spacing too, 7.5 millimeter wide lines.
Yeah, in some of them. It sounds minor, but that structure can really help with keeping things clear and organized when you're listing tasks or writing detailed reflections.
Okay. Now, what about common career planning challenges? Can journaling help there? Like lack of clarity?
Absolutely. Just the act of writing down goals, exploring values on paper, it forces you to articulate things. That alone can bring a lot of clarity, even if it's messy at first.
You start to see themes emerge over time.
Exactly. What really matters to you professionally.
And what about low self-confidence or fear of failure? That holds a lot of people back.
Journaling techniques like gratitude lists or writing self-affirmations can really help here. We mentioned them for therapy, but they work for career confidence too.
Building yourself up on paper.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Actively focusing on strengths, celebrating small wins. It counteracts that negative inner voice and builds genuine self-belief over time.
And staying motivated. Career journeys can be long.
That regular self-reflection is key. Tracking progress, celebrating wins, learning from setbacks, seeing it all written down helps maintain momentum, keeps you engaged.
It's like having your own coach and cheerleader bound in faux leather.
Something like that.
You know, this reminds me of my cousin Mark. He felt totally stuck career-wise. Good job, but unfulfilling. Knew he needed a change, but was just overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's a common feeling.
He wasn't really a journaling type, but I'd been using a Listallion for planning and sort of nudged him to try it, just to get the frustration out, you know.
And did it help?
At first, it was just venting. But he said the act of writing, the nice paper, seeing the pages fill up, it gave him a weird sense of doing something.
A sense of progress, even if small.
Exactly. Then he started using it more strategically. Brainstorming skills, breaking them into tiny weekly steps, documenting job applications, interview reflections, networking notes.
Using those numbered pages to track it all.
Yeah. And looking back, even when things felt slow, he could see the actual effort laid out. It kept him going. Took about 6 months. But he landed a much better role. He still says that journal helped him navigate the whole thing.
That's a great real-world example. It's not magic, it's the structure and the reflection.
Totally. And on the flip side, the healing aspect, I had a friend, Lisa, go through a really rough patch, wasn't comfortable talking about it much, and therapy felt like too big a step.
Understandable.
I suggested she try journaling. Again, with the Listallion I knew felt, substantial and private. She just started writing about her day. Simple stuff.
A low-pressure start.
Right. But over time, it became her space to actually feel things she hadn't let herself feel. She said the physical act of writing on that smooth paper was almost calming, grounding.
Interesting. The tactile experience helped.
Yeah. And she wasn't trying to analyze, but by looking back through the pages, she started seeing patterns in her feelings, understanding triggers better. It just became this vital, private coping tool for her.
That sense of safety and control can be so important during difficult times.
Definitely. Now, let's circle back to that specific story we looked at, Emma, the young professional in NYC.
Right. Stuck. Self-doubt, procrastination. Found a Listallion career journal.
And she really used it, didn't she? Daily goals, priorities, documenting achievements, reflecting on challenges, tracking networking.
She was systematic. using the features, the structure, the space for reflection, maybe even that table of contents to organize it all.
And the result.
Well, the story goes that this consistent practice helped build her confidence. She started taking action. Within a year, new leadership role, more productive, better mindset.
It really paints the picture of the journal as a catalyst, doesn't it? Not just a notebook.
Exactly, a catalyst for change and growth when used intentionally.
So, wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway here?
I think it's that journaling, especially with a tool designed to support it, like these Listallion notebooks, can be genuinely powerful for your inner world and your outer trajectory.
Mental well-being and career advancement side by side.
Yeah. The features we talked about, numbered pages for tracking, thick paper for a good experience, the table of contents for organizations, they aren't just bells and whistles. They actively support effective journaling.
They make the process easier, more focused, more useful.
Precisely. It really makes you think. What could happen if you intentionally carved out just a few minutes each day, use that physical space of a quality notebook?
What insights might pop up? What changes could it drive? Whether it's processing emotions, personal growth, or chasing those career goals.
Exactly. So, maybe the final thought for everyone listening is, what's one small step you could take, maybe even today, to start your own journaling journey?